Hello, and welcome to another edition of Ask the Professor, where we respond to your questions and rely on your contributions to keep a conversation going on history, economics, political philosophy, culture, current events, national security, all those things that are important to us in our public life.
All right, here's one from Isabel. It's a follow-up question about Michael Flynn and his famous conversation with the Russian ambassador way back in this earlier spring or late winter. And she's asking if you think that the leaking of his conversation with the Russian ambassador was justifiable, and also if you think that Flynn himself actually did something wrong. And she says, I ask because Charles Krauthammer, the famous columnist and commentator in the United States, has argued that this whole story was a cover-up in search of a crime.
This is, to me, it's a difficult thing to determine, which is why we have investigations, because it's not against the law to have a conversation with the Russian ambassador. It's not against the law for somebody who thinks they may have an important national security post to seek out people's views and try to form opinions and get themselves ready for the job. You wouldn't want to come in on day one having scrupulously avoided any intelligent discussion, including with anybody important or anybody you might disagree with. In my view, the thing about leaking it is that somebody thought that there were improper contacts between the incoming Trump administration and a very nasty foreign tyrant. I have absolutely no use for Vladimir Putin. I'm sure he has no use for me either, but luckily I'm under his radar. But it's the kind of thing that leads to trouble. And then the fact that Flynn had not disclosed it cost him his job as national security advisor. And this is one of these, how did you think it wouldn't get found out moments. It may not have seemed important, though. It may, to him, have seemed something so trivial that he gave an offhand answer and later couldn't find a way to back down. But the long and short of it is, when things like this happen, we need to have them investigated, because it's easy to form the impression either that something terrible is going on or that there's nothing here. And as you know, it tends to sort out, well, if you're a Democrat, oh, something terrible is going on here. And if you're a Republican, there's nothing to see. So we need to find out if there is something to see. Were there improper contacts? Were there suggestions of favors? And again, all of this is overlaid with the fact that the Russians apparently were trying to influence the American election. This isn't the first time they've done it. It's not obvious to me that they were successful. Russian propaganda does tend to have that Radio Moscow quality of absurd, bombastic overstatement. Very effective in certain political cultures, very ineffective in others. Particularly if a political culture is closed and paranoid and the truth never gets in, this sort of stuff works pretty well because people are disposed to it. In the raucous debate in the West, good heavens, if we could really be tipped over by RT spewing nonsense, well, we might as well give up on democracy right here and now, if that's the case. So I think that leaking it was justified. Whether there was anything important to leak is another matter, and I don't know that. But it does seem to me that Flynn has paid a price for having been imprudent in ways that surely in retrospect even he could see were imprudent. That this sort of conversation with people close to Vladimir Putin is just not a good idea because Putin is a bad guy. Whether there's more to it than that, we have to endure the tedium of an investigation to find out. But nobody said that investigations would be fun. They just said they're sometimes necessary.
All right. Well, thanks for that. Folks, if you would like to play along that and ask your question of the professor, go to the URL on your screen and everything there will be explained. Thanks, and see you next time.